Tired of your car insurance rate going up, even with a clean driving record? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Libsyn today. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. In the spring of 1903, the President of the United States asked a 65-year-old naturalist to take him camping. Theodore Roosevelt, the most physically vigorous president in American history, a man who had charged up hills under enemy fire and hunted big game across 3 continents, wanted to see Yosemite. Not the hotel, not the carriage roads, the real thing. He wanted John Muir to show it to him. They disappeared into the backcountry for 3 nights, leaving their Secret Service detail and their political entourages behind. They woke up one morning under 4 inches of snow, sleeping in the open beneath a stand of sequoias. Roosevelt later said those 3 days were the best of his entire presidency. John Muir went home and waited to see what the most powerful man in America was going to do with what he had seen. What followed transformed the American landscape forever. Our history brief today returns to secret lives of U.S. presidents. A quick word from our sponsors.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
This day in history. On May 16, 1929, the first Academy Awards ceremony was held in Hollywood, honoring achievements in film and launching what would become one of the most famous award traditions in the world. On May 16, 1770, Marie Antoinette married the future King Louis XVI, a union that would later become a symbol of royal excess during the French Revolution. Story of the day. John Muir was born in Scotland in 1838, the third of 8 children of a stern, religiously severe father who beat scripture into his children with a literalism that left marks both physical and psychological. The family came to Wisconsin, United States in 1849 when Muir was 11. The farm his father established was worked with a relentlessness that left very little room for the curiosity and wonder that were already defining the boy's interior life. Muir educated himself, reading by firelight after his father had gone to bed, building intricate mechanical contraptions in the barn, demonstrating an inventive mind that had nowhere obvious to go in the Wisconsin wilderness. He made his way to the University of Wisconsin and then drifted, working in factories and following his restless intelligence wherever it led. In 1867, working in an Indianapolis wagon wheel factory, a metal file slipped and struck him in the right eye. The injury blinded him temporarily in both eyes, the sympathetic nervous system's response to trauma, leaving him in darkness for weeks. When sight finally returned, Muir made a decision. He would spend the rest of his life looking at the world that he had almost lost. He walked from Indianapolis to the Gulf of Mexico, nearly 1,000 miles, recording everything that he saw. Then he went to California, And then he went to Yosemite, and he never really left. Muir arrived in the Yosemite Valley in 1868 and experienced something that he spent the rest of his life trying to put into words. He would later describe the Sierra Nevada as the range of light. He would describe the sequoias as the grandest of all special trees of the world. He would write about mountains and glaciers and meadows with a lyrical precision that transformed the way educated Americans thought about wild places, shifting them from obstacles to be conquered into cathedrals to be preserved. He worked for a time as a shepherd's assistant, then as a sawmill operator in the valley. He spent every moment he could in the mountains. He developed, through years of direct observation, a theory of glacial formation in Yosemite that contradicted the prevailing scientific consensus of the day, and was eventually proven correct. He was not a trained geologist. He was just a man who looked at things very carefully for a very long time. By the 1870s and 1890s, Muir had become the most important voice for wilderness preservation in American public life. His articles in popular magazines reached hundreds of thousands of readers. His books, The Mountains of California, My First Summer in the Sierra, and others, created an audience for the idea that wild places had intrinsic value, not merely economic or recreational utility. In 1892, he co founded the Sierra Club, the organization that has been fighting for the American wilderness ever since, and served as its president until his death. The campaign to establish Yosemite as a federally protected national park consumed years of his political and literal energy. And then in 1903, Theodore Roosevelt came camping. The 3 nights Muir and Roosevelt spent in Yosemite's backcountry were the most consequential camping trip in American history. Muir understood exactly what he was doing. He had spent 30 years writing about wild places and their value. Now he had 3 days and 3 nights with the one man in America who could act on what Muir believed. And he made his case. Not with statistics or legislative arguments, but with sequoias in the moonlight and 4 inches of snow on a sleeping bag and the sound of Yosemite Falls in the dark. Roosevelt returned to Washington and used the Antiquities Act and his executive authority to protect approximately 230 million acres of American land, establishing or expanding national parks, national forests, wildlife refuge, and national monuments at a pace and scale that has never been matched before or since. Much of it grew directly from those 3 nights in the mountains. But the story does not end in triumph. In the years after the Yosemite camping trip, a proposal emerged to dam the Hetch Hetchy Valley, a valley within Yosemite National Park, comparable in beauty to Yosemite Valley itself, to provide water and power to the city of San Francisco. Muir fought the proposal with everything he had. He wrote, he lobbied, he organized, and he appealed to everyone he could reach. He called Hetch Hetchy one of the nature's rarest and most precious mountain temples. He argued that damming it would be a desecration, that protecting wild places from economic development was exactly the point of having national parks in the first place. But he lost. Congress approved the Hetch Hetchy Dam in December of 1913. John Muir died on December 24th, 1914, 1 year and a few days later. He was 76 years old. He had spent his final year fighting a battle that he had already lost. Friends who saw him in those last months said that the defeat had broken something in him that just did not mend. The Hetch Hetchy Reservoir still exists. The valley that Muir called a mountain temple is still underwater. There is periodically serious discussion about restoring it, removing the dam and allowing the valley to return, but it has not happened yet. What has happened is everything else. The national park system that Muir's work helped create protects more than 85 million acres of American land. The Sierra Club that he founded has 3.8 million members. The idea that wild places have intrinsic value that a mountain or a meadow or a stand of ancient trees is worth protecting for its own sake, not merely for what it produces, is now so embedded in American culture that it is difficult to remember a time when it was radical. And it was radical. John Muir, he made it ordinary. The History Brief. The following comes from Cormac O'Brien's Secret Lives of U.S. Presidents. Next time you find yourself single on Valentine's Day and mirrored in your own self pity, remember that your sadness cannot possibly be greater than Theodore Roosevelt's had been. For on that day in 1884, his mother and his wife Alice both died. Overwhelmed with grief, he entrusted his only child at the time, also named Alice, to her aunt and then took off to the Badlands to become a cowboy. Impressively, the Harvard educated Eastern aristocrat held his own among the indelicate crowd that he encountered there, despite his spectacles and a large vocabulary. Some of the men he befriended during those years would fill the ranks of the Rough Riders recruited by Roosevelt to fight in the Spanish American War. TR would later marry Edith Kermit Caro, whom he had known from his childhood in New York City. They would have 5 children together. He never mentioned his first wife, Alice, again, even in his autobiography. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping to make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both of those links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel where we have different series that are not part of this main feed. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.